In the 90s, we heard about the AIDS epidemic on every local newscast. We were irrationally afraid of toilet seats and payphones, even kissing people. Sex became scary. And while we don't see those public service announcements anymore, AIDS hasn't gone away. It's still a global epidemic. To date, over 39 million people have died of the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Current drug therapies mean it's now possible to live a normal lifespan with HIV, but that's expensive and not a long-term solution. What we really need is an HIV vaccine and a cure. So how close are we? Only one person has ever been cured of HIV, Timothy Ray Brown. In 2007, he was undergoing cancer treatment and was cured of the HIV virus. Researchers still don't understand exactly why or how.
Things that he went through to cure his cancer also ended up curing his HIV, and the treatment was rather dreadful and had many terrible side effects and had an expected fatality rate of around 70%.
After fighting this virus for nearly 40 years, and with only one person cured, which was a fluke we don't completely understand and can't replicate, and which would probably kill you, we've still learned a lot. Once scientists figured out how the virus worked, they needed to figure out how then to eradicate it. But that was easier said than done. You see, the virus's RNA invades your cells and changes your DNA, so the challenge was finding a drug that would kill HIV, but not your own cells. By 1996, they were able to make advances in antiretroviral combination therapy, meaning that HIV was no longer a death sentence. Like a gang of defensemen dragging down a football player, the drugs work together to stop HIV in its tracks. After killing millions of men and women, this cocktail let people live relatively normal lives. Doctors could then take time to look for a cure.
There is certainly an AIDS epidemic that continues. In fact, it is pandemic in proportions throughout the world.
HIV/AIDS is probably the most serious public health crisis we have had in sub-Saharan Africa, in the world, in fact, since the beginning of time, in terms of the numbers of people affected and the scope, the socioeconomic impact of the problem.
To fix the AIDS epidemic, we need a vaccine and a cure. A vaccine to stop the HIV virus from spreading, and a cure for the people who are already infected.
The most significant problem that we face in making a vaccine against HIV is the genetic variability, which is viruses that look similar to each other, but they are not all alike. And so in making a vaccine, we have to make a vaccine that would be able to protect against all the strains of HIV that exist in the body, but also that exist throughout the world.
And this is why it's so difficult to get rid of HIV once it infects your body. Remember, the virus's RNA invades your cells and changes your DNA. The antiretroviral stops it, but it doesn't kill it.
In the future, treatments might get even better or more long-lasting, where one could have an injection or an implant of drugs that lasted for months or even a year.
There are vaccination trials going on now with some success. But if you followed science news, you might have made this connection already. This virus is hiding in our DNA. And we've got a new DNA editing technique, CRISPR-Cas9. Why don't we just use that? CRISPR-Cas9 uses a protein called Cas9 to cut DNA wherever it's programmed to. It's part of our own cells' internal immune systems. Cas9 could be told to search for a specific sequence, like a bit of HIV, and if it finds the virus, the Cas9 could cut the HIV out of the cell and let the DNA heal itself. This can be done today in the lab. We can't yet do it with humans. Drugs to control the virus are still the best way to live a semi-normal life.
I can't say, how many years to a cure. I can tell you that there are many, many people throughout the world that are working hard on new cutting-edge approaches to cure.
I don't think we are close, to be honest, to a cure, but we are making progress, and it's my firm belief that we should continue to do research, and hopefully we'll have some scientific discoveries in the future that will lead us to a cure.
Look, we've come a long way, but we're not there yet. The research into the fight against AIDS has taught us so much about how our body functions. It's taught us a lot about other diseases as well, like hepatitis C or Zika. And every year, there are new breakthroughs in the fight against HIV. There are scientists around the world working on this problem day in and day out. So how close are we to curing HIV and AIDS? A cure could be a while, or it could be tomorrow. Thanks for watching How Close Are We? On our next episode, find out how far scientists have come on the road to de-extinction.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with releasing weird, hairy Asian elephants into the tundra.
Like our page, click on follow. We'll see you next time.